This week I'm going to show you how I built this graph that you see here on the screen for Makeover Monday. Basically, it's a series of dot plots, but what I really like about this is how I positioned the dots across these bars. So I'm going to show you how I made it. First, let's take a look at the data. So this is an extract of the worst drivers by state rankings. And you can see that there's, looks like 6 categories that each state is ranked against. We've got careless driving, drunk driving, failure to obey, fatality rates. This rank represents the overall, speeding, and then this total score, which I'm going to ignore. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rename this failure to obey because I don't really care about the rest of the words after this. I'm just going to rename this failure to obey. And this one I'm going to rename to fatalities rate. Okay, and then lastly I'm going to rename this one to overall. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started by going to a new sheet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put state into the rows, and you can see I've got just a simple list of states. And what I want to do is I want to be able to draw those Gantt bars. So to do that, I'm just going to create a calculated field. I know the states are ranked from 1 to 51, so I'm just going to call this my max rank. And in this case, it's just going to be 51. It's always going to be 51. So I'm just going to make it 51. I'm going to drag that to the columns. And you see I just get a simple bar chart. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead and turn it into a Gantt. And I need to now draw the Gantt from 1 to 51. So I'm going to create another calculated field that is my Gantt length. And that's just going to be an average of minus 50. That means it's going to be 50 in length, and it's going to go backwards. So I'm going to put that on the size, and you can see mine now go from 1 to 50, from 1 to 51. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck the include in tooltip on the max rank and the Gantt bar length. From there, I'm going to just shrink the size down and make them very thin, and I'm off and going. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to start with my overall measure, and I'm going to put that on the dual axis. So that results in 2 lines, but you see they're not, I can't synchronize them. Well, that's because my overall is a whole number, so I need to switch that to a decimal. And then I'll go ahead and make a dual axis again, and now I can synchronize them. But on my overall, well, first off, I'm going to take measure names off of the color. And on my overall, I'm going to switch this to a circle. And then I'm going to increase the size. Oops. See Tableau slow. That's because my Gantt length is on there, so I need to remove that from the size. And I just want my circles to be something like that. There we go. I'll just stick them into the first spot there. All right, great. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to color those dots based on the ranking. So I'm going to create a new calculated field, and I'm going to call this my overall color. And I'm going to do these in ranges, and I've gone ahead and pre-built these calculations to make it easier, so you don't have to sit here and watch me type. So if my overall, sorry, this should be overall, not overall rank. Okay, so this is just telling me the ranges that I want. Hit OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign default colors to these. I've gone ahead and created a color palette for the USA Today, so I'm going to put that there. Oops, I could have sworn I just picked it. And I'm just going to hit assign palette. So 1 to 10 is the worst, 41 to 51 is the best. That's the same color palette that they use in the original visualization. And then I'm just going to drag that to color. And there we go. So I'm going to go back over here to my max rank, and I'm actually going to make those maybe a lighter gray, something like that. Okay, I like that. All right, so what I need to do now is just basically repeat this process for the rest of my measures. So I'm going to just duplicate max rank over to here. And then again, I need to put Gantt length on the size. And then I'm going to take careless driving. This needs to be a decimal. Same with drunk driving. I might as well do this for all of these. Fatalities rate, and lastly, speeding. So now I'm going to take careless driving, put that on the secondary axis and synchronize. And then on the careless driving, I'm going to make this a circle and adjust the size. Okay. And then back here on my max rank, I need to take measure names off of the color. And again, change the color to that light gray. Okay, so I could also actually, this might be a little bit quicker going forward, if I change my my colors on my max to actually just be a light gray. Let's just do that. Okay, I don't like that gray, so let's switch it to that gray there. All right, so here we go. Okay, so so that gives us the careless driving, and did I synchronize? I did. Okay, so then I need to do the calculation for the careless driving color. So let me go here and just copy this. And I'm going to create it, and I'll call this careless color, and just paste that in. And then on those circles, I'm just going to put the careless color. But again, I need to change the default color palette, so I'm just going to double click here, double click my palette, go down to the USA Today palette I created, assign that palette, and there we go, 2 down. All right, so let's duplicate max rank again. And okay, so now we need to take drunk driving and put that on the secondary axis and synchronize. Okay, and then drunk driving, we're going to go ahead and make those circles. And oops, sorry, not color. I want to increase the size. All right, and then my Gantt bars, I need to go back over here and put the Gantt length on the size. And you'll see my max, let's go ahead and take that off the color and switch my color to that same gray. Okay, and again, I need to now repeat this process for my drunk driving color. So let's create a calculated field, call it drunk driving color, and go to my drunk driving shelf and put that on the color shelf. And again, assign my color palette. So let's go down to USA Today. So this gets a bit repetitive, but it doesn't take too awful long. Okay, max rank again. Let's go to this field on the color shelf, put our Gantt length on the size, and then this time I'm going to do failure to obey on the secondary axis. Don't forget to synchronize. Okay, oops, what happened there? Let me undo. I think I chose the wrong option there, synchronize. All right, and then on my max rank, I want to remove measure names from color, switch the color back, and then go to my failure to obey, make those circles, increase the size. And if I go to my failure to obey, I need to create my color for that. Only a couple more to go. I'll just call this failure to obey color. And I'm going to put that on my color palette. Okay. Do my assigning. All right. And again, duplicate my max rank. Here we go. Let's put Gantt length on the size. Hopefully you're figuring this out by now. And this time I want to do, that was failure to obey, so let's do fatalities rate. And synchronize. My fatalities rate is going to be a circle. Increase the size. And then let's go ahead and copy this. Paste that in. Put that on my color shelf. Okay, and again here, I've got to go down to my USA Today, hit assign, and go back to this shelf and remove measure names from the color. Okay, I need to give myself a little room here to put the last one on here for speeding. So let's go to that shelf. Let's put the Gantt length on the size, and then put speeding on the secondary axis. Let's synchronize that. Okay, so on this speeding, we're going to, again, last one, we're going to change it to circle, increase the size, and then create our calculation for the color. All right, let's put speeding on the color shelf. And again, we get another color shelf that we just need to simply reassign the colors for. And let's go to this max rank and remove measure names from the color. Oh, looks like I need to change my color there. I need to go to this shelf and change the color. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're pretty good now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these color shelves. Hide that. Hide the card. If anybody knows a quicker way to hide all of these at once, I'm all ears. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is a bit of cleanup here. So I'm just going to right-click in my viz. I'm going to go ahead and remove all grid lines. I'm sorry, row and column dividers. Then I'm going to remove my grid lines, set that to none, set my zero lines to none, set my axis rulers to that, and then none, just to make sure they don't show up. Okay, so now we've got something like that, but what I'd really like to do is maybe put a reference line halfway so we know if something is above or below about the halfway point. So I'm going to go to the analytics pane and put a constant line on here for max rank, and I'm going to stick it at 25. And then for that axis line, I'm going to go ahead and format that and make it thin. And then I'm going to go ahead and edit it. I could have probably done this in one step. I'm going to set the label to none. Okay, so now we've got them all where you can see kind of if they're above or below. I'm going to go ahead and hide the label for my states. And now I'm going to format my max rank axis. I'm going to get rid of the title. And again, I'm going to have to do this 6 times. I'm going to get rid of my tick marks. I'm going to double click on the next one. Get rid of the title. Remove the tick marks. Okay, almost there. Sorry, this is a bit tedious. But I'm doing this because I don't really, I know that left to right they go from 1 to 51, and I put the reference line under to kind of let me know whether I'm above or below. So I'm okay with removing the titles in this case. And you'll see why I'm removing the tick marks in a second. So I don't really want to show the numbers, so that's what the tick marks are for. And now on my secondary axis, all I want to do here is remove the tick marks. I think I only need to remove the major ones, but I like doing them both anyway, just to be sure. And once I remove all of these tick marks, you'll be able to see how I can shrink my axis down. Okay, almost there, 2 more. All right, and then last one, tick marks, none, none. Okay, there we go. And now what I can do is on this axis, I can get right here on the edge. There we go, and I can shrink this way up. Keep going. And there we go. So now it makes my axis look a little bit better. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is I want to create a, I'm going to go ahead and create a parameter that allows me to pick the measure I want to sort by. So I'm going to say choose the sort, and I'm going to make this a string, and I'm going to list them out. So again, it's overall, careless driving, drunk driving, failure to obey, fatalities rate, and lastly speeding. Okay, so let's go ahead and show this parameter. And now I want to use this to sort my states. So I'm going to go ahead and create a calculated field. That's my sort by. And again, I've went ahead and, for the sake of argument, I've gone ahead. Oh, wait, I need to do, okay, so I'm going to do case. And it's my choose a sort. When they pick overall, then we want to do overall. When they pick careless driving, then careless driving. Oops. When drunk driving, then drunk driving. When failure to obey, then failure to obey. When fatalities rate, then fatalities rate. Else speeding. End. Okay, so now that's going to give me my sort, and I can go ahead and I can sort this by in descending order by my sort by field. Okay, so now when they sort by overall, you can see that they go from right to left. But I actually think it makes more sense to have the best on the left-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double-click on this axis, and I'm going to reverse it. You'll see that moves my dots over to the left. Same thing here. I'm going to reverse it. So I'm going to do that 6 times. Let's reverse all of these. And then one more for speeding. Let's reverse that. Okay, so now you can see as I switch it, you can see the top states are on, everything goes to the left. There we go. So what's interesting here is if I go back to careless driving, you'll see that that North Dakota is best in careless driving, but worst in, or close to worst in drunk driving. Yeah, it's a value of 1. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these fields, and I'm going to go ahead and change the number format to be a custom number and not include that. That way when I look in the tooltip I can see them all in there. Okay, so the last thing I want to do, or not quite the last thing I want to do, I should say, so I'm going to go here and go to all. And what I want to do here is I want to put all of these metrics onto the tooltip and the state. So let's put all of these onto the tooltip. Okay, and now what I want to do, actually we don't need this state on there, so let's get rid of that. So what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and list out all of these metrics. So let's make it nice and big. And then for each of those, I'm going to put overall first, and then careless, drunk, speeding, and then I'm going to get rid of all of these color ones. Okay, so now when I hover over any of these, I can see where each state stands, even if I'm hovering the bar or the dot. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is make a dynamic title. So I'm just going to call this title. And if I'm going to flip over here, and what you'll see, let me just copy this, paste this in, and then you can see what I'm doing. So this shouldn't be choose a metric. This should be choose the sort. And when it's overall, then we want to do, so when they pick overall from that list, we want to go ahead and display a different question. So depending on which one they pick, we're going to pick a different question. And it looks like this is okay. So let's see what happens here. Let's stick that onto the detail shelf. And then what I'm going to do is in here, I'm going to just go ahead and insert my title. And maybe I'll make it the like the Tableau medium, maybe 18 point bold. Okay, so now you can see which states have the most careful drivers. If I pick the overall, you see which states have the safest drivers. And I tried to frame all of these in a positive word. So which states have the lowest drunk driving rate, failure to obey rate, etc. Okay, so the last thing I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and actually I need to bring up one of my cards again. No, I need to go to Analysis, Legends, and I want to show maybe my speeding color legend, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a nice little subtitle on here, and I'm going to go over here to this website that I like to use, and I'm going to grab this little ASCII circle. And I'm going to paste that in there, and I'm just going to put 1 through 10. All right, and let's make that also, let's make that the Tableau regular, and maybe something like 10 point. And then I'm just going to go ahead and copy paste that, 2, 3, 4. So this one 1 to 10, and then 11 to 20, 21 to 30. Oops. And this one would be 31 to 40, and then 41 to 51. And now what I'm going to do, and you'll see this is why I brought this color legend up, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the more colors option. Oh, it looks like we've already got them here. That's good. So 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, and then lastly 41 to 51. Okay, so we'll call this best, or I'm sorry, worst, and then maybe after this one put best. So it might be, actually it might make sense to maybe reverse these. So let's go ahead and let's cut that. And but you get the idea. We could switch these. I'll just leave it like this for now. Good enough. Okay, so that blue one's a little tough to see, so I'm going to make it bold. Now if I hit apply, you can see I now have a nice little legend as well. So when I stick this all on the dashboard, I could leave it like this, but I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and hide this first. And now when I stick this onto a dashboard, and let's say we want to make it kind of skinny, but maybe tall, something like that, I'm going to just go ahead and stick the sheet in here, and you'll see my parameter automatically came up. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to float that. And I'm going to just float that up here in the corner, because I know it's sort of, I want to get it out of the way, but I also, let's fit entire view here. Okay, so that's nice and neat. So now what I like to do is flip through these to make sure that my, so let's see how we've got a bit of overlap here. So let's go ahead and shrink this down, and then it looks like maybe our titles, the font's a bit too big, so let's maybe make that 16 point. Okay, that's better. All right, so now if you pick careless driving, or if you pick drunk driving, etc., you'll see my dashboard updates. I get a nice little question in my viz, so the reader knows what we're looking at. So hopefully you found that helpful. I'll post a video of this here just shortly, and have a good day.